Welcome to the big show. This is Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we are always happy to have you with us today. As always, I do have my great friend and my great pal. He is the mastermind of this whole operation, Mr. Al Connickson. Al, how the heck you doing today?
You know what? I'm feeling great. How could you not feel good knowing that we've got a full new year ahead of us, all full of opportunities that are going to be coming our way?
And that's the key word, is opportunities. That's a lot of things that we're going to talk about here today on Investing with Confidence, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. But with these opportunities comes other things. It comes with risk, but the key is to minimize that risk. We're going to talk about that and dissect that a little bit, but also to trade and invest with the proper assets. And when we talk about assets, we're talking about stocks, options, futures, and Forex. Al, before we hit up those different topics, I want you to recap what's going on, what's some of the catalysts that are really driving this great volatility in this market, and some of the opportunities that we do see moving forward.
Oh, nothing much. Just a presidential election.
Oh, hee-hum.
Yeah. A little bit of controversy there in Congress with this thing called an impeachment. We had earnings season. A lot of activity going on.
Back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's always a big mover in the market. So, again, all of these things just provide opportunities for us. We talk about that a lot. And that's true. We look forward to this volatility because it does increase our chances of, the opportunities that are out there. But, what we're here for, we always talk about financial literacy, financial illiteracy. We're trying to convert the illiterate to the literate. And, why do people listen? Why do people look at the financial markets? Well, they're looking at the financial markets because they believe that those markets have the potential for financial rewards for them. But the problem is then they just jump in with no knowledge or very little knowledge of how to achieve that potential reward. And the real problem, I think this is the primary mistake, is that the public really trades and acts like the public, like amateurs, instead of thinking, acting, and executing like the professionals.
That's one of the big problems there.
Yeah, and why is that the case? Well, it's the case because no one has taught them how to do that. You really have been conditioned just to trade like an amateur, like a novice. And one of the reasons is that Wall Street controls most of the trading activity. They need to have somebody on the other side of their trades. They would love to have an amateur on the other side of their trade. And the guys on the floors, they'll tell you that they really make their living off of the emotions of the average trader. So our goal is to kind of convert you, get you to that point where you're not trading like everybody else out there in the public, and you're trading like the pros. Because if you look at what they're doing, when we talk about the pros, we sometimes refer to that as smart money. It's the Wall Street firms, the hedge fund managers, the big time traders out there that are moving hundreds of millions of dollars in their trading activity. And why are they doing so well? Well, they're doing things that are different than you are doing. They approach the market different. You mentioned that R word, risk, and I know a lot of people, when they hear that, they kind of cringe and they're
shiver
afraid
a little bit. I think it's bad.
Yeah, really. Well, it's something that can be managed. And instead of calling it risk, I like to just look at that as being principal protection, protecting your capital. And
let's just call it capital management. Make it easier.
Sure, capital management, and you can manage it. That's the key. And you think about it, every time you do something in your life, every time you get out of bed, you're facing risk. Every time you cross the street, you're facing that. But you know how to manage it. You know it's there, and you control it. You manage it as best as possible. And the same thing is true in the markets. Pros do that very well. Yeah, but what their goal is, and really, it's not necessarily a goal, it's what they've achieved, is the ability to put a trade together and then not worry about it, not even think about it. How can they do that? Well, they do it because they know the number one thing, the most important thing in trading and investing is the right price, whether you're getting into something or out of it. And what do I mean by the right price? It's the price that really reflects the value or the overvaluation of something. The reason the pros do it so well is because they have access to things that we don't. I mean, they're spending millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year on data and research that we don't get, or we get it too late to act on it. And then they have enough money where they can control and move the price of something.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because so many people think, well, I need to go do all this research on all these companies and get my own opinion. Well, Wall Street pays not that the public is smart, but very, very smart people to do that research.
Right.
Why don't we let them do that research, understand how they're trading and investing, and trade like them? That's the key, right?
That's exactly right.
You know, so that's the problem with the public is we're told to go look on YouTube. There's so much stuff, and I'll just call it stuff on YouTube, and then it creates so many opinions. It brings so many challenges to the average investor.
Right. Yeah, the average investor looks at something like that. They may look at the fundamentals or they look at the news, and they make a decision based on what they think should happen based on that news or that information. The market doesn't care what you think or what I think.
No.
And the key then is to follow the people that are actually moving the price of something. If price is that important, it's the turn in price, it's the movement of price that is important to follow. Then why not follow the people that are actually doing that are influencing price? And that's the big players. That's the smart money.
You know, I wish the market did care what I think. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I wish it.
Right?
I wish it did took into consideration what I think too, but I'm not holding my breath on that.
Well, that's why you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan and follow that plan. And so many people jump into these financial markets, you know, the stock market, we'll just say that, without the knowledge. And that's the problem. And we're conditioned to do that. Wall Street, there's so much internet. There's so many things out there that people can read and do research on. My opinion on that is Wall Street and the institutions are writing half that stuff. They're writing the playbook for the average investor. And think of it this way. We got a Super Bowl. You know, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? You got the GOAT plane. And if Tampa Bay and Tom Brady was going to play a football game, you know, unfortunately for them, they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, a great football team.
Right.
But if they knew they were playing the bad news Bears, they have the odds in their favor already. And that's the thing in sports is you got to know who you're playing and prepare for that.
Right.
The institutions know who they're playing. They prepare for that. But that's why it's important for us, the average investor, to understand how they're playing and start to trade and invest like them. And it comes down to understanding how to read a chart. And Al, you talk a lot about, you know, the institutional trading, how the markets actually function. Al, we got a big show coming up next. We're going to talk about the smart money, how they are creating income. And these techniques and strategies are also available to the public. We'll be right back.